Pac-12 football is presented by TIAA. See how we're a different kind of financial company at TIAA.org. And by Dr. Pepper. It's a college football tradition. And by T-Mobile. Ditch your carrier and switch to the Un-carrier. Well, the Washington Husky defense getting a lot of attention. They led the Pac-12 in total defense and scoring defense a season ago. And Anthony, they're at it again.
They've been playing at a level that makes this team look like not only a Pac-12 championship contender, but when you start looking around the world of college football, these teams that are really going to make a national championship push, this is a championship level defense the Dogs have on the field this season.
Beautiful night in Tucson. Just a picture-perfect evening. Not too hot, very pleasant, comfortable. And Washington won the toss. They deferred, so they will kick off here with Tristan Vizcaino, the junior from Chino Hills, as Tyrell Johnson, the return man, is deep for the Wildcats. So the All Blues tonight for Arizona. These were the uniforms they wore last year when they upset number 10 Utah in double overtime. So it brought them luck last year with an upset against a top 10 team. So they figured, why not? Let's bring them out tonight against the Huskies. And Tyrell Johnson lets it sail through the back of the end zone. And Arizona, who has upset a top 10 team in each of the last 4 seasons, would love to do it tonight for Rich Rodriguez. Rich Rod in his 5th season as the Arizona head coach. And Brandon Dawkins made his 2nd career start last week, and he did it all for the Wildcats.
He really did. Threw for over 200 yards, also ran the football for over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground as well. The thing that impressed me most, though, from start 1 to start 2, the tempo that Brandon Dawkins was able to lead this Arizona offense to.
J.J. Taylor is the running back, as Nick Wilson, who got injured against Hawaii last week on the first drive, did not come back, and J.J. Taylor will get the bulk of the work tonight as Keyshawn Bierry and Azim Victor on the tackle of the freshman Taylor. J.J. Taylor, a big week and a big game against the Rainbow Warriors last Saturday night. On 2nd down, Brandon Dawkins keeps, and Brandon Dawkins, first down, Arizona. Buda Baker, Azim Victor on the tackle, and the quarterback runs for a first down.
What I like about this is Dawkins holds the mesh point just a hair longer, and he's thinking the whole way as he reads the inside defender on that read option. He was very decisive with the way he came off of the mesh.
From the 37. Dawkins to throw. Toward the sideline. Catch made by Shun Brown. Covered by Sidney Jones. That's a gain of 8. It'll bring up a 2nd and 2 for the Wildcats.
I was struck by the decisiveness that Brandon Dawkins was able to play last week's game with. Part of that was from the game plan and the way it was called offensively by Rich Rodriguez.
Dawkins to J.J. Taylor. And there's nothing there. Sam Wu-Ching along with Greg Gaines for the Huskies.
This defensive front has been supremely dominant every game that they've stepped onto the field so far this season. Tonight will be a different challenge.
3rd and 2. Dawkins slings to the outside. Nate Phillips the catch. It's close. Appears to have enough for a first down. Right on the marker.
This is what we call an RPO, run-pass option, but really a pass the entire way in the mind of Brandon Dawkins. Just that run action towards the middle, tries to create enough space as he delivers the ball to the boundary side.
First down, Arizona. J.J. Taylor up the middle to midfield, where he's knocked backward by Azim Victor.
A lot of collisions there in the interior of this defense. When Azim Victor makes contact with ball carriers, they tend to go backwards.
The junior from Compton leads Washington in tackles on the season. Arizona picked up their 600th win as a program last Saturday in the win over Hawaii. 47-28, they knocked off the Rainbow Warriors. Here's Taylor picking his way into Washington territory.
One of the strengths of this Washington defensive front is how many bodies they can bring at you onto the field. For tonight, the tempo of Arizona will test how many people. Look at the snaps through 3 games. Elijah Qualls leading in snaps, but all the way down to Jared Pulu, they continue to roll fresh bodies at the opponent. It allows them to play fast and aggressive.
They're 2 and even 3 deep at some positions defensively. 3rd and 3 for the Wildcats. Brandon Dawkins steps up. He'll run. Penalty marker is down in the secondary, and Dawkins right near the marker where Sidney Jones and Keyshawn Bierria bring him down. But the elusiveness, the versatility of Dawkins able to string that play out.
Holding, number 32 defense. A 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the run. First down.
So Budda Baker called for holding, and Arizona will have the football first down and 10.
What I'm seeing early from Brandon Dawkins, and he told us that he knew this would be a higher test than they've had at any point this season, but a very confident 3rd career start.
The sophomore from Oxnard. To J.J. Taylor, and a good tackle in the open field by Sam Wuching. All over J.J. Taylor, and that's a loss on the play.
It's such a difficult balance for a defense that plays as fast and aggressive as Washington, because a lot of times you'd be able to get a defense out of position as hard as they flow to the football, as much pursuit as they show, but there's always that other player available. Someone knows they're on safety valve detail.
Loss of 3. Dawkins from the pocket. And underneath, just across the 30, where Joe Mathis with a tackle on Trey Griffey. And it's 3rd down for the Wildcats.
There, a blitz was coming from the wide side of the field. And so out of the periphery of a quarterback like Brandon Dawkins, he can see that. He knows that's coming, but didn't allow that to harass him.
On the rollout, Dawkins. And a tumbling catch about a yard shy of the first down by Shun Brown. And we'll see what Rich Rod wants to do on 4th and 1. And it appears that Rich Rod's going to channel his inner Kyle Whittingham from last night, and he's going to go for this on 4th and 1 on the initial drive. J.J. Taylor bounces it to the outside. Still dancing. And he's inside the 15.
The dangerous decision he made, because you needed short yardage for a first down, but the true freshman trusts his vision and his elusiveness, bouncing it outside after first pressing the hole.
He gets a breather as Zach Green now in at running back for Arizona. Dawkins off the play action. Caught at the 5-yard line. Nice sliding grab by Sean Poindexter.
Poindexter, the rangiest receiver Arizona has available, so a bigger frame, larger margin for error on the pass from the quarterback.
At 6'5", 210. Brings up 2nd and 1. J.J. Taylor down to the 1. 1st and goal, Arizona.
You notice starters remain on the field for this Washington defensive front. This deep into a drive, you would quite often see the 2s in right now. Tempo hasn't allowed it.
Taylor, touchdown.
Right on the interior, the backside doesn't flow quite as well. And to be honest with you, the defense was just dog-tired, Roxy.
Josh Pollock for the extra point. 15 plays for Arizona on the opening drive of the night. Just the start he wanted to see, did Rich Rodriguez from his offense.
It doesn't matter if J.J. Taylor's only 170 pounds. We've seen through 2 games, grit, determination, and a nose for the paint.
7-0 Arizona as the Wildcats take the opening kickoff down the field, and a tremendous start for the Arizona offense and Rich Rodriguez. And J.J. Taylor, the freshman, will carry the bulk of the load tonight in the absence of Nick Wilson.
Taylor's an impressive guy when you meet him in person as well. Very mild-mannered, understated in his exterior, fiery on his interior.
Josh Pollock with the kick. Here comes John Ross. John Ross! Upended before the 30-yard line.
Oh, playing with fire.
Cam Denson on the tackle. Here's the Cooper Tires scoring drive, and how about that? 15 plays, 75 yards for the Wildcats.
Couldn't have gone any more according to script if Rich Rod would have tried to make it happen, because 15 plays, no play any longer than 10 yards, great balance, 8 to 7 run to pass. They don't need big chunk plays. They're not looking for explosion. They're looking to keep the Washington defense on the field for a number of snaps.
And J.J. Taylor, 7 carries on that drive. Myles Gaskin, the running back for Jake Browning. And Gaskin takes the handoff. And he's out across the 30, pickup of about 4. Brought down by Paul McGlure Jr. Browning, the sophomore quarterback from Granite Bay, California, near Sacramento, and the #1 quarterback in college football passing efficiency-wise, off to a tremendous start. 12 touchdowns, just 1 pick. It's completed 72%. Up the middle, Myles Gaskin. And that's a first down for the Huskies. Demetrius Flanagan fouls, chops him down.
Game by game, we've seen the numbers and the productivity of Myles Gaskin continue to improve. The offensive line has been a bit maligned because folks have been looking to try to find a hole they can puncture in the execution through 3 games, as the Dogs have just dominated all 3 opponents.
Gaskin still averaging 5.5 yards per carry as John Ross the catch near midfield. And Ross into Arizona territory, should have a Washington first down.
These intermediate routes that we haven't seen from John Ross in years past, as defenses continue to just move their safeties back further and further. Washington's done a nice job of keeping him involved in the offense.
First down and 10. That's John Ross in motion from the Arizona 47. Browning will take off and run. And Browning spun around shy of the 40-yard line. The pursuit from Cody Ippolito and Justin Belknap. But Curtis Conway brought up a good point this morning on the pregame show here on Pac-12 Network about the running game. And Washington hasn't really kicked it into gear yet. But Jake Browning has so many weapons, Anthony, whether it's these great receivers, the tight ends have been involved. It's like, okay, we've unleashed all the beasts that we have. And yes, oh, by the way, we still have a 1,000-yard rusher from last year. Here's the reverse. Chico McClatcher inside the 40. Brought down by Cody Ippolito, just a bit shy of the first down.
This will be hard duty for Ippolito throughout the night tonight, because he's not as quick laterally, but he diagnoses plays very well. So as long as he can read this properly, he'll have an opportunity with guys like Chico McClatcher to try to beat them to the spot. For him, it's going to be about pursuit angles, and for the Zona Zoo, it's going to be about volume on key downs.
3rd and 1 for the Dogs. We're 53% on 3rd down, or at least, no, Arizona's given up 53% on 3rd down this year. Very close. Myles Gaskin appears to be shy. Chris Peterson, will he go for it like Rich Rod did?
I believe he should. This is a small defensive front. They're banged up. He's got an offensive line that he's got faith in from this field position. I believe Washington should go.
And the Huskies keeping the offense out there. They bring in a couple extra tight ends. Levon Coleman is the running back.
This is where the movement of the defensive front for Arizona can play into account. Penetration.
False start on the right side. It was Drew Sample, the tight end. That will erase the first down carry.
Number 88 offense. 5-yard penalty. Fourth down.
Michael Mothershed, our referee tonight.
I think it would make sense to punt now. Now that you've lost yardage, you go from a 4th and extremely short, so it's going to be at least a 4th and 6. Back near midfield, an opportunity to pin the Arizona offense down.
Costly penalty for the Huskies. Tristan Vizcaino, the punter. Nate Phillips, the return man, standing on the Arizona 10. And a line drive rugby-style punt. Hit an Arizona player, picked up by Phillips. Phillips to the outside. Nate Phillips almost near midfield. What a crazy sequence that was.
Rich Rodriguez isn't even sure what to make of it. Rather carefree attitude, offense, defense, and special teams for the Cats. Nate Phillips, he's got his teammates making huge blocks while he turns the corner. Physicality on display.
Well, Nate Phillips, that could have been disaster for the Arizona punt returner. It ends up being terrific field position for the Wildcats. And a bizarre play, and first off, it was a near block punt.
Vizcaino delayed for just a hair longer than he probably needed to. Got it off before it got blocked, and then here, if Nate Phillips ends up waving for a fair catch, which he doesn't, he was waving his hands low, then the ball actually ends up hitting him, so he has the presence of mind to realize this could potentially be a free ball for the coverage team, picks it up, makes a big play out of it with some huge blocks from his teammates.
So if it stands as called on the field, it'll be 1st and 10 Arizona at the Wildcats 46. 7-0, the Cats lead it. A 1-yard touchdown run by J.J. Taylor on the opening drive of the ball game for the Wildcats. So here's Rich Rod going, yep, see, he just was below the shoulders. That's not a fair catch.
The hands are very low. I mean, it's nearly down by his waist. That's not anything that I believe I've ever seen ruled as, not on purpose, ruled as a fair catch. He's waving for his teammates to get away from the football as it squibs around. Then while he's waving, the term that's used verbally is usually poison or Peter, something along those lines. But in addition to the verbal, you also go with the visual, just making sure as you wave your hands that your teammates who likely are blocking for you know that they can both hear and see that you're telling them to get away from the football.
Well, it appears this is Arizona 15-yard line. And Rich Rod clearly taking exception with the call. They're moving the football back to the Arizona 15-yard line to where it was initially touched by the Wildcats.
Rich Rodriguez certainly with this ruling. You understand why from a field position standpoint. Still doesn't work out nearly as well as what was beyond the 50-yard line.
During the previous play, after review, the receiver gave a wavy signal, which kills the play, and the receiver may not advance the ball. The ball replaced at the 15-yard line. Will the clock operator please reset the game clock? 5:04. Thank you.
So Michael Mothershed, our referee, explaining that there was a signal from Nate Phillips. Therefore, they're moving the football back to the Arizona 15.
And he specifically did not say a fair catch signal. So the officials ruling obviously that they're not viewing it as a fair catch, but by him giving that Peter or poison sort of signal for everyone to get away from the football, then they're saying the ball is there dead at that point.
1st and 10 Wildcats. J.J. Taylor at running back. Brandon Dawkins, the fake, and he'll run. And Dawkins runs into Keyshawn Bierria, close to a first down.
Love the decision because, again, and you're going to continue to hear me use the word decisive because it's part of what Rich Rodriguez and his staff are coaching into Brandon Dawkins. To make quick decisions, even if you're wrong, just go with it.
Hand off to J.J. Taylor, spun down by Bierria in Vita Vea. And that's right near the markers, should be enough. The other thing that, Anthony, that Rich Rod and both Rod Smith and Calvin McGee, the co-offensive coordinators for Arizona, were talking to us about yesterday, in addition to the decisiveness, is the eye discipline. What do they mean by the eye discipline for Brandon Dawkins?
It's a part of the post-snap process for the quarterback in this offense.
Here is Dawkins. Brought down by Sam Wuching.
So we see so much read option from Arizona, and Rich Rod, you know, the godfather of the read option offense, but he's eyeballing defenders as he's working the mesh point with the running backs. That eye discipline.
Samaje Grant with the catch out near the 35, a bit shy of the first down.
Is a part of the post-snap process, the eye discipline, that term meaning that the quarterback, as the play is going, is reading where the defense is while determining whether to hand the football off to the tailback or pull it and continue to make the play himself from there.
Third down 1. Dawkins the handoff. And it's J.J. Taylor pushing his way forward. And Arizona moves the sticks. Vita Vea on the tackle.
That's a great decision to just run through the smoke because it's not an open hole. In this situation, we saw on fourth down on the previous drive, J.J. Taylor bounced it outside. I love that decision that much more. Don't allow the defense to count on you running laterally.
A little bit of a pistol look here from the Wildcats. J.J. Taylor! Big run for the freshman.
Downhill. This is what the pistol allows. From that home position, neutral behind the quarterback, the angle of the ball carrier can advance directly on the defense.
Gain of 19 yards into Washington territory. Short gain for Taylor, brought down by Elijah Qualls.
One of the surest tacklers in the Pac-12 at the safety position is Mr. Budda Baker. He gets undressed by the true freshman J.J. Taylor. Gives him the dead leg, some nifty footwork, then the hustle from the backside from JoJo Mathis.
Barry Sanders-esque. He patterned his game after Barry Sanders, believe it or not. J.J. Taylor is spinning close to a first down. Budda Baker on the tackle. You think being a freshman, is he quite old enough to really emulate Barry Sanders?
That's what we discussed with him yesterday, because Barry Sanders would seemingly be before his time as a teenager.
Zach Green replaces Taylor. Dawkins open. Poindexter the catch. First down, Arizona.
Another RPO run pass option there. Pulls the ball. Dawkins, knowing the entire time as he's reading it, eye discipline again, knowing there's going to be a lane open for Poindexter.
At the Washington 21-yard line. What a tremendous first quarter it's been to this point for the Wildcats. Zach Green with his first carry inside the 20, down to the 17-yard line.
Just saw the 10th play of the drive, and again, it's one thing for the opponent to not huddle, but the tempo and the adjustments of the tempo don't allow you to sub.
Green pushback. Good surge by Sam Wuching in the Husky defense. And does that help Arizona negate the depth for Washington and the advantage that they have with all the bodies and the experience that they have on that side of the football?
It's why Nick Saban at Alabama has been railing against the tempo of these offenses for so many years, because when you're deep and talented, if tempo doesn't allow you to sub, then that's your kryptonite.
3rd and 7. Good protection for Dawkins. Reaching forward for the first down is Sean Poindexter.
Working from within the pocket. Brandon Dawkins from the empty backfield. Very nice ball on the spot to Poindexter, reaching for the chains.
1st and goal, Arizona. U of A at the 10. J.J. Taylor lost the football. Arizona says they've got it back.
Of many things we don't have a full sense of from J.J. Taylor yet is ball security. And especially at this point, because there you saw it, put the hat right on the football. Keyshawn Bierria involved in the pileup.
That was Tyrell Johnson on the carry, by the way, not Taylor. As we reach the end of the first quarter, dominated by the Wildcats, leading at 7-0 and knocking on the door for more. Pac-12 football is brought to you by Barbasol, America's leader for a close, comfortable shave, now with rust-proof aluminum bottoms. And by 76, we're on the driver's side. And by Clean Crisp Coors Light. With a great beer comes great responsibility. We start the second quarter in Tucson, where Arizona leads number 9 Washington 7-0, along with Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson. Roxy Bernstein with you. And how about that? The plays run by Arizona as opposed to Washington. Time of possession over 11 minutes. The Wildcats dominating the first quarter. Begin this second quarter with a 2nd and goal. Dawkins slings it to the outside. Upended, crossing the 5 is Trevor Wood. They'll bring up 3rd down and goal.
Some very good individual tacklers for Washington. And one of the things that you see here from the exterior, they force the football back inside because of where Kevin King is on that blocker, just making sure it has to cut back in. Then Budda Baker scrapes over the top to make the play.
A bunch to the left for Brandon Dawkins. And it's J.J. Taylor powering his way down to the 1. 4th and goal. Anthony, what do you do?
Oh, as nice as it would be just to put some more points on the board and get it here. If Rich Rodriguez goes for this, then at least you've got their offense pinned down. This is worth the shot.
They put the ball at the 2-yard line. 4th and goal.
Need to get Dawkins on the move. Wide side of the field here. I think that's where you make the play happen.
Play clock at 5. J.J. Taylor into the line, and Washington stuffs him. Elijah Qualls, the first man there, and the Huskies on 4th and goal force the turnover on downs.
It's just one moment. It's just one play. But you'd be surprised how a moment like that on 4th down, where the opposing team has an opportunity for a 2-score lead, can turn the tide of a ball game. Big Uglies, 300-pounders, making plays. Victor loving it.
Seven nothing Arizona, but Brandon Dawkins and the Arizona offense denied on 4th and goal. The Huskies take the football over at their own 3. And his second effort gets Myles Gaskin out across the 5.
Vita Vea, 330-pounder. Azeem Victor at the linebacker position. As Vita Vea is able to avoid getting washed, knocks the line of scrimmage back, Azeem Victor as the linebacker can empty his chamber unencumbered by any blockers getting to the 2nd level. And then Vita Vea ends up getting involved in the tackle himself as well. That is textbook short yardage defense.
4 yards for Gaskin, 2nd and 6. And Gaskin a big hole up the middle. Should have a Husky first down as Jarvis McCall Jr. on the tackle.
Umpire was in a bit of jeopardy there too as Gaskin worked his way into the 2nd level. There he is. Watch yourself, sir.
He took the hit and rolled right with it.
We're in the conference play, Roxy Bernstein.
Didn't even knock him off his feet. That was impressive. Jamon Dotson now in a running back for UW. From the Washington 14, Browning in the gun. And it's Dotson. Tripped up, lunges forward near the 20 is John Kenny, the transfer from Iowa, on the tackle for Arizona.
Just after the pull, you see Dotson trying to elude the tackler. Really well done. Excellent play. Working his way off from John Kenny.
This is a Washington team that has won 6 straight games dating back to last year. They have scored at least. Browning, good protection. The deep ball for Chico McClatcher into Arizona territory.
It was set up by the pass protection, and you'll see McClatcher work his way all the way across the form. Has time to watch that route develop. Drops it right on the money to McClatcher.
37 yards to the sophomore from Federal Way, Washington. McClatcher has caught 4 touchdowns already this season. Levon Coleman, the running back. 2 tight ends in the game, Darrell Daniels and Drew Sample. Browning throwing on first down underneath, and slipping out of the backfield is Levon Coleman.
Proper decision, just taking his profit to Levon Coleman. We saw a deeper pass the previous snap to McClatcher. Comparing this season to last season, attempts per game, touchdowns thrown, drops most certainly this season. That number being down helps Jake Browning out quite a bit, but passes of 20+ yards, he's gotten so much more accurate and more comfortable with delivering the football in those scenarios.
On second down, Myles Gaskin back into the game. Tripped up, about a yard shy of the first down. John Kenny got his hand in there. This is the #1 scoring offense through 3 games in the Pac-12. Washington averaging over 49 points per game.
Top scoring offense, top scoring defense. That's why I've called them the most complete team in the Pac-12 through 3 games.
That's a good combination. Browning on the rollout to Gaskin. Gaskin gets the first down. Nice effort by the sophomore running back.
Cats defense at the bottom of the Pac-12 in third down defense. Just giving another one up. Gaskin has continued to improve his hands, becoming more of a receiver out of the backfield. Underrated mobility from Jake Browning as well.
From the Arizona 32. Levon Coleman, it's a reverse. John Ross. Ross down the sideline. Touchdown.
With 12 personnel on the field, tight ends right here help to set up the play because the defense assumes the ball will be carried to the strong side. Now coming on the reverse, Jake Browning, outstanding block, and John Ross somehow able to tightrope the sideline and take it for 6.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown.
They will review to see if Ross stayed inbounds. Ruling on the field is a Washington touchdown.
He's got so much speed, working towards the outside stripe. And at that initial look, even off that last trip, it appears to me John Ross III stayed in bounds.
So for Ross on his 2nd carry of the season, may have just scored his 6th touchdown of the year, 4 receiving. He brought a kickoff back for a touchdown in the opener against Rutgers, and now on the reverse, it appears that's going to stand and be a Washington touchdown.
I believe it will. It's worth a review because it was close, but I do believe this play will stand as a touchdown. And the 2 levels of it, because the setup by the formation, seeing both tight ends, forcing the defense to react to that, then great action coming back at him.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So John Ross, a 32-yard run to get the Huskies on the scoreboard, and now it'll be Cameron Van Winkle for the extra point. His 2nd career rushing touchdown for John Ross III, the junior from Long Beach. Jeff Lindquist, the holder. And the snapper is Luke Hutchison. And we are tied.
For the first time, the Washington Huskies trailed in a ball game this season. But when it was time for a play to be made, They knew who to get it to. JR3 took it the distance.
7-all between number 9 Washington and Arizona. 9:45 remaining second quarter. And this is a banged-up Arizona team hanging with the number 9 Huskies. No Anu Solomon, Nick Wilson, DeAndre Miller, Parker Zellers. Plus some other guys are playing banged up, like their tackle Harrod DeBeer, Tellis Jones. But Arizona hanging right in there despite being shorthanded. The kickoff from Tristan Vizcaino. Having trouble, bobbling in, Tyrell Johnson, and he's brought down at the 5. Arizona backed up as Tyrell Johnson had trouble on the return. Huskies have flipped the momentum onto their side of the football field.
There we go. A couple of tight ends outside the formation there. Will Dissly, Drew Sample. Action's going to go that way. That's going to set up John Ross as the defense has to pay attention. But then Jake Browning, the young quarterback, true sophomore, is going to block Calvin Allen. That allows John Ross III to turn the corner. From there, some defense trying to pick up blocks, but John Ross able to tightrope the sideline, take it for 6.
That was a defensive lineman that Jake Browning took out.
Yes, it was.
Dawkins throwing on first down to Shun Brown. Out across the 20. Arizona quickly to the line. Tempo.
Tempo, tempo, tempo.
Brandon Dawkins. Dawkins to the outside. Dawkins down the sideline. Touchdown. 79 yards.
When your quarterback can be a strike threat on the big play, the defense has no chance. And we've questioned the speed of Brandon Dawkins at different points.
Fourth rushing touchdown of the season for Dawkins. And now Arizona will bring everybody back in for the point after try. Josh Pollock, who's 11 of 11 in his extra points. Now 12 for 12. And a Washington defense that had been allowing just over 1 yard per carry in the first half of games this season. Dawkins and Arizona up 7. Brandon Dawkins 11 of 11 through the air, but a 79-yard touchdown run to give Arizona the lead.
When you watch him play the game, you see that he is a competitive runner. As his coach Rich Rodriguez describes, a willing distributor of the football. All those completions, reading on the fly, eye discipline, and as we just saw, just fast enough to take it the distance.
So Brandon Dawkins had a tremendous performance against Hawaii last Saturday night right here, and he's out to another tremendous start. Perfect through the air, 11 of 11 for 70 yards, and he's run for over 100 with that 79-yard touchdown run. Let's get it to Mike Yam in the studio.
All right, Roxy, time for a TIAA game break. Drama at the Rose Bowl. Ryan Burns with his team down 13-9 to JJ Arcega-Whiteside. He had never caught a pass this season before heading into this one. 3 catches, including a huge touchdown there that puts UCLA down 16-13.
All right, Mike, a good one at the Rose Bowl, a good one here at Arizona Stadium in Tucson with Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson. Roxy Bernstein with you as Arizona leading number 9, Washington 14-7. And already 171 yards on the ground for the Arizona Wildcats against this terrific Washington defense. Jake Browning on the play action to Darrell Daniels. Daniels pushed out of bounds. That's a gain of about 6. Senior tight end.
When we spoke, Brandon Dawkins, it appears that he may have lost his lunch in that scenario. He's expending some energy on the field. But I can relate.
You've been there?
In the past, yeah, my former life.
On second down. Here's the give. Myles Gaskin, forward progress, is marked just a bit shy of the first down. Paul McGlure Jr., the first man there for the Wildcats D.
The Huskies' offensive line is blocking very well at the point of attack. There's a little bit of hesitation, a little stutter step from Gaskin as he approaches the hole. Be good to see him in a little more definitive fashion get the ball and get it vertical.
They're down in less than a yard, and the zone is a factor. It's loud at Arizona Stadium. And a timeout called by the Huskies. Jake Browning didn't like what he saw. So we'll take it with the Huskies. A 3rd and 1 looming. Number 9 Washington down a touchdown. Football in 60 is the idea. Football fix for the busy Pac-12 fan. Non-stop game action cut down into one fast and furious hour, including enhanced content not seen in the live game broadcast. New episodes debut every Sunday night on Pac-12 Network. 3rd and 1. Browning keeps. Browning has a Husky first down. And the sophomore quarterback riding the big middle of that Husky offensive line for Chris Peterson to move the sticks.
He told us that he anticipated this game would be the first time they'd faced some true adversity. Won their first 3 games by 118 points. I mean, they were dominating by nearly 40 points a game.
Movement up front. No, there's a timeout first. Timeout Arizona.
Timeout, Arizona. They're first. It's a 30-second timeout.
The Husky defense have been suffocating, Anthony, through the first 3 games and averaging the opponents just over 2 yards per carry against Washington. And in the first half, they've been allowing just 1 yard per carry, which was tops in college football. They're being gouged right now for nearly 8 yards a rush by Arizona.
It's going exactly as scripted for Rich Rodriguez because it's not just about the explosive plays that we saw Brandon Dawkins able to pull off on the previous series, but they've been driving the long field. They've been moving the chains consistently, picking up first downs, sapping the energy of the Dogs defense.
And give a lot of credit to Arizona offensive line coach Jim Michalczyk, who's had to mix some pieces around with some injuries he's been dealing with as of late. From the 36, it's Levon Coleman, and he's out across the 40. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Roxy, to follow up what you and Anthony are talking about, it's been interesting to watch the Washington defensive coaches in the bench area tonight. You can tell they really have their hands full dealing with this Arizona offense that's, what do you call it, in hyper mode. They're tough to get in their defensive subs. They're facing a running back and a quarterback who are big-time scoring threats. I know we're somewhere midway here through the second quarter, but remember Chris Peterson said that he's expecting a fourth quarter game this weekend. He said they haven't had to face that type of adversity. You guys mentioned that, so he's looking to see how they respond.
And they're trailing. First road game for the Huskies is Levon Coleman up the middle. Coleman to the outside. Levon Coleman rips off a big run for the Dogs. 37 yards.
This run is set up by the pull of Shane Browstick right there, lead blocking. He's been doing it repeatedly throughout the game so far. And to me, this is the best version of Levon Coleman I've seen in 2 years. He's healthy. He looks very spry. And when I asked his offensive coordinator, Jonathan Smith, about whether or not he thought this is the best Levon Coleman has looked, he said yes. It even looks like maybe he's picked up another step.
The junior from Lompoc, California. Same hometown as another former Husky great running back, Napoleon Kaufman. Browning. Complete to John Ross. First and goal, UW.
It's essentially just a hitch or a stop route as Ross runs off the coverage, then turns outside. That's one of those routes where you're essentially running at 10 yards and then rolling to 12. It looks simple, but it's one of those things where you're continuing to pick up the additional mechanics of playing wide receiver.
A little bit of a wildcat look. Myles Gaskin lines up to take the snap, and all types of movement up front.
False start. Number 72 offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Trey Adams was singled out, but Michael Mothershed and his crew had their pick basically on that play.
Certainly did. What I found interesting about that formation is that Jake Browning ended up being to the wide side of the field. They normally run away from Browning when they go wildcat with Gaskin.
First and goal from the 12. Browning to throw. Over the middle. John Ross. Touchdown. Ross has run for a score, and now on the receiving end of a Browning pass for 6.
Clean release off the line of scrimmage, skinny post as John Ross comes off. And right there inside, just a quick move as he does a rip, almost like a great pass rusher would do, where you close on the defender, he stair steps, works towards the inside, rips the inside arm for 6.
Cameron Van Winkle knocks it through, and we're knotted at 14. Let's check in with Mike Yam.
All right, Roxy, time for a Gatorade game break. We showed you the go-ahead touchdown for Stanford that had them up 16-13, and just for good measure, the defense coming up huge for the Cardinal. Solomon Thomas picking it up. Off to the races he goes. Jim Moore now 0-6 against the Cardinal. Last 9 games, it is all about UCLA losing to Stanford. So a lot of celebration, I know, after this one, too. So happy birthday, Anthony Herron.
Happy birthday, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you, Yammer. So I guess as we get to a certain point, your birthday will be a part of the equation as well.
Well, I think my birthday almost on the East Coast right now.
We're getting close.
Yeah, so there's at one point where it's kind of both of our birthdays.
It's kind of going to be both of our birthdays here in a little while. So then we'll feel similar to what Stanford feels like at this point.
John Ross having a night so far for Washington, as he's been a huge spark for them all season after missing all of last year. 5th touchdown catch of the season for Ross. So he's scored in 3 different methods already this year. This is game number 4. 5 touchdown catches. He's run for a touchdown tonight, and the kickoff return for a score.
And where we know he can score touchdowns of the explosive variety, the fact that we've seen the intermediate game lead to touchdowns as well shows the growth.
Tristan Vizcaino with the kick, and Tyrell Johnson had trouble with the last one. Will stay in the end zone. Arizona football, oh my gosh, as they turn back the clock. Wow.
Well, and just in case folks weren't sure, I was the one with the afro on the left side of the screen, just to confirm.
I just want to know where they dug up those pictures.
And it's not just the afro, Anthony Herron. Was that the sailor suit that Mom had you in?
Sailor suit.
Oh,
that's right.
My goodness. And look at that on the right, Roxy.
Look at the blonde hair.
How about that? What happened to that?
Locks.
Happy birthday, fellas.
I like the
Thank
butterfly
you.
collar, though. Got the V-neck working.
747.
Oh, boy. I guess we can thank our wives for that one.
Yeah, Kelly and Sherry, they dined us out, huh? Thanks, ladies.
J.J. Taylor. Another Arizona first down. That's their 14th first down already of the first half. And that's a big key to their offense in establishing their tempo.
This hole was wide open. I love the fact that J.J. Taylor continues to show a willingness, unlike a lot of young running backs who are at the high school level able to just outrun people laterally. He's willing to run vertical with the football.
Dawkins keeps. And that was outstanding defense from Washington. And the pursuit. Darren Gardenhire. Take it back, it was Joe Mathis supplying the pressure that forced that incompletion. and the first incompletion from Dawkins tonight. J.J. Taylor. And the electricity from the freshman into Washington territory.
There are finite moments where defenders feel like they've got an opportunity to tackle J.J. Taylor. Then at the last moment, blockers come in. Taylor makes the cut off of it.
Dawkins hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. The pressure being applied by Ben Burr-Kirven, the sophomore from Menlo Park, California, Sacred Heart Prep.
Sounds like maybe the crowd at Arizona Stadium wanted a late hit of some sort. Certainly wasn't. It's a good, clean collision there from Burr-Kirven.
Approaching 4.5 minutes to go here in the first half. And a tie ball game in Tucson. Dawkins, the deep ball. Intercepted. Kevin King. 5th career interception for the senior.
What's required in the spread offense is the ability to read coverage on a choice route. Kevin King the entire way had eyes in the backfield, so it was a man look, but zone coverage. So from there, you're able to fool the quarterback, and King, with ball skills as good as anyone in the Pac-12 conference, turns up with the play.
So the #1 turnover margin in the Pac-12 adds to their total. And the Husky defense that had forced 10 turnovers in the first 3 games of the season, which was the most for a Pac-12 team in the first 3 games of a season since UCLA did it in 2012. And now the pick by Kevin King gives the football to Jake Browning and the Husky offense. Inside 4.5 minutes to go at their own 10-yard line here in the second quarter.
Be curious to see if Washington is in 4-minute offense mode.
Play action from Browning. He's looking for the deep ball. John Ross is out there. Flag is down on the play.
That was a risky proposition.
Pass interference. Number 9 defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. That's an automatic first down.
It's on Dane Cruikshank.
Off the play action, safety doesn't have the proper spacing anymore. They're thinking run, they're thinking 4-minute. John Ross runs through the coverage, immediately gets to the 3rd level, and Cruikshank, it's everything he can to get back in position, drapes both arms over John Ross III. Proper flag. Jake Browning, he knows he should have put the football out in front of John Ross. That was a potential touchdown missed.
Darrell Daniels in motion. Levon Coleman sweeps around the left side. Strung out by the Arizona defense. Paul McGlure Jr. Linebacker for Arizona, the senior from Fort Lauderdale, who oddly began his college career as a quarterback at Appalachian State.
And he's such a fun guy to talk to. He's got a chef's sort of skill set to him, loves to cook at home. His girlfriend doesn't mind when he cooks either.
It was fun spending some time with Paul McGlure yesterday in the Arizona facility. Myles Gaskin back in the ballgame and running back as Browning will take off. And Browning toward the sideline, runs out of bounds. First down, Washington. Stay tuned for the State Farm halftime report with Mike Yam, Nigel Burton, and Eric Allen in our San Francisco studios. They'll have their thoughts in the first half. And the battle in Pasadena between Stanford and UCLA, and the upset in Eugene. And a good game going on up the road in Tempe right now. Pac-12 After Dark in full effect again. Chico McClatcher, the motion man. The screen set up, and it's too high. Trying to dump it off to Jamon Dotson.
Jake Brown, and that action from McClatcher, the defense bid on it. So this certainly was an opportunity. Walker's out in front. One of the things that Jonathan Smith and Chris Peterson have told us is that Jake Browning has gotten to a point where he's sort of his own toughest coach and trying to be as exacting as he can.
And that's Browning's first incompletion of the night. Both quarterbacks have been accurate. Coming off the edge, and it's Cody Ippolito. First sack of the year for the senior from Paradise Valley.
Ippolito's been waiting for it throughout his career. Missed the 2013 season with an injury. Missed the 2015 season with an injury. Ippolito, not quite as nimble an athlete as he once was earlier in his career, but the emotional leader of this Cats defense.
And he was suspended for the first half of the game last week because of a targeting ejection where he was disqualified in the game against Grambling. Movement up front.
False start. Number 72 offense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
The big left tackle, Trey Adams.
It's the prowling pre-snap. Ippolito walking up towards the A-gap, forcing the offense to flinch. He and McGlure, as they start downhill, the offensive line feeling like they need to be at a hair trigger to prepare for the oncoming blitz.
On third down, Browning in trouble, escapes. Now he goes down. Again, it's Cody Ippolito.
It's a defense that's missing their two best pass rushers. Parker Zeller's out. DeAndre Miller out. The prowling by Marcel Yates, their defensive coordinator, putting pressure on the pocket.
Punting team on for Washington and Tristan Vizcaino. And a timeout is called with 2:01 left in this first half. So tied at 14. We mentioned the cooking prowess of Paul McGlure Jr. With more, here's Lewis.
That's right. Let's go beyond the hash marks, Roxy. And we do have a cook in the house, like any college kid, and especially a big football player who needs to eat a lot. Arizona linebacker Paul McGlure Jr. loves food, but eating out, we can cost a lot. So as a college kid trying to make it, he took his mom's advice. He decided to spend his money at the grocery store, and he began to cook. So we're going to call him Chef Paul, and he told us his signature dish. He said, well, bone-in ribeye, right? He credits watching some cooking shows in the summer. In particular, he watched a whole lot of episodes of The Iron Chef, said he was taking notes on those 3 seasons and then making it happen in the kitchen. So I thought the best line of all, guys, he said his cooking was inspired by his bank account.
Very conscientious college student. Actually offered to cook me some burgers once he found out I was going to try to take on the OMFG challenge.
A rugby-style punt from Tristan Vizcaino. And a big hit forces the ball free from Phillips. Washington has it, but there is a flag. Jordan Miller jumps on the football, but there is a flag on the play. And it's back near the line of scrimmage.
There's no foul for an illegal formation. The result of the play is a recovery by the kicking team. First down, Washington.
And a costly mistake for Arizona and a huge play by Jordan Miller for the Huskies.
Second time Nate Phillips has been in a position to try and field this oblong football in an awkward fashion. Big hit delivered. Dogs come up with the recovery.
It was Darren Gardenhire who forced the football free, dislodged it from Phillips, and you hear it over and over again, Anthony, with a punt hits the ground, let it go, don't try to field it. And that's what Nate Phillips did. And a costly turnover. And the second turnover in the first half for Arizona. John Ross on the wide receiver screen. Ball pop free. Ross looks like he got it back.
This was dangerous because John Ross, off the outstanding open field hustle, Devontae Neal puts his hat on the football. Ross, he got away with it this time, but needs to just go and dive on that football. That's what Nick Aliotti would have referred to as a city fumble. Lots of bodies around it.
That's a loss back to the 30-yard line. Second down, 19. It's like the grease from your OMFG burger from yesterday is saturating the football right now. There is a flag on the play.
Volume from the Zona Zoo saturating the ears of everyone in Arizona Stadium.
Final minute of the first half. We're knotted at 14.
This is a huge ask for this Arizona defense.
Michael Mothershed, our referee.
Wanting to clarify whether or not they will decline the penalty that's being called, whatever that may be.
Delay a game, offense. Since the clock is running, it requires a 10-second runoff. Please reset the game clock to 46 seconds, and we'll start on my signal. Thank you.
So the 10-second runoff because the clock was running, as Michael Mothershed has been a busy man already tonight, and he had the privilege and honor, his crew, of working the national championship game between Alabama and Clemson last year. Browning. He'll run. And he'll dart out of bounds. Run out by Cody Ippolito.
That's a smart decision from Jake Browning. No need to put the ball in harm's way. You're close enough within field goal range. Just continue to pick up a few yards.
They do have a terrific kicker in Cameron Van Winkle. Third down, 17. Washington at the Arizona 28. Three rushers for the Wildcats. Good protection. Browning dumps it off to Levon Coleman. Coleman wrapped up. Michael Barton, the graduate transfer from Cal. And it's fourth down.
This Marcel Yates defense playing so much faster week by week. New defensive scheme as he's replaced Jeff Castile. Bodies flying around, swarming to the football.
Timeout called by Washington with 4 seconds remaining. And time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. And the facts are that Arizona's had success against ranked teams under Rich Rod. And they've had a win versus a top 10 team in each of the last 4 years. They knocked off Utah here in double overtime last year. They beat Oregon in both 2014 and 2013. And in 2012, they knocked off USC, who was ranked in the top 10. And they have a chance tonight with number 9 Washington opening conference play tonight here in Tucson.
Just has that similar feel to it so far in tonight's game. And Rich Rodriguez even talked about it during the preseason, where something about his team, his ball club, where they tend to rise up when expectations are low. It's a tough, hard-fought effort they had in week 1 and a loss to BYU. Having to come back against Grambling State in their second game had a lot of question marks around this team, most notably the defense. You and I were here last week and seeing the steps the defense made, especially in tackling against Hawaii.
Washington trying for their first win here in Tucson since 2006. But they have played every year since 1995, these two teams. Even with the Conference bringing in Utah and Colorado, going to 12 teams. They still have hooked up every season. Cameron Van Winkle trying to give Washington their first lead tonight. Off the upright.
And just look at the energy that this Wildcats football team leaves the field with. We see examples of this game of inches play out so often.
How about Rich Rod's reaction? Yep. I'll take that one, he says.
The ball bounced off the hard edge of that upright. Lewis Johnson down on the field with Rich Rod.
Well, Coach, what does that missed field goal do for the energy of this team as you go into the half?
Well, certainly got the crowd into it. We just made a couple uncharacteristic mistakes there at the end with some turnovers, and I feel good about the plan and the way the guys are executing other than a couple turnovers at the end there.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Roxy?
Good stuff, Lewis, with Rich Rod as the Wildcats at number 9 Washington are tied at the half. It's 14 up. Can the Wildcats pull off the upset? Or will Washington remain unbeaten? Through one half of play, an exciting night of football in Tucson. Now let's take you to our San Francisco studio, the State Farm Halftime Report. Here's Mike Yam.
All right, Roxy, nothing better than some league action. We got some close games, including one. Alan Norton will join me. We got some drama down at the Rose Bowl, not to mention tears of joy from Mike McIntyre. And believe me, you're going to want to see this finish against the Ducks.
For sure.
Yeah.
This Pac-12 football halftime report is presented by State Farm. Here to help life go right.
Here is the BRP game summary of the first half, and we're tied between number 9 Washington and Arizona. As the Huskies at 3-0, the Wildcats coming in at 2-1. Entertaining first half of play here in Tucson for the conference opener for both Washington and Arizona, along with Anthony Herron, Roxy Bernstein with you. And are you surprised by what we saw in the first half?
I am. I thought there was a good chance the game would end up being competitive. I didn't know, though, that Arizona's defense would show up in the fashion they have. But overall, the playmaking we've seen on the field and what we see from true freshman J.J. Taylor at the running back position, the ability to set defenders up and then at a moment's notice get out of his cut is what I believe will make him a special ball carrier for years to come. But then beyond that, in short yardage scenarios, being able to block at the point of attack, and for Taylor to run through the smoke, utilizing his ability at a small body to run through contact. Now John Ross, he got a little bit of help from his friends too. His quarterback, Jake Browning, able to take down big Calvin Allen, all 280 pounds of him. That allows John Ross to turn the corner and then show a little bit of that Sammy Davis Jr. type of ability to be light on his feet. But here's the full arsenal of ability as a wide receiver. This Dogs defense, though, tonight, rushing yards per game prior to 91.3. They've given up almost 200 yards on the ground already in tonight's game. 0 sacks on the mobile quarterback that is Brandon Dawkins.
Arizona, 15 first downs in the first half to establish their tempo, control the football as the kickoff sails through the back of the end zone from Edgar Gastelum. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Well, Chris Peterson out of the Husky locker room, upbeat but very brief. I asked him about giving up the 269 yards of total offense by Arizona there in the first half, and he said, listen, it's pretty simple. We've got to get off blocks and tackle better. I said, what about the Arizona upbeat tempo there and trying to deal with that? He said, it's simple. We got to get off blocks and tackle better. That's the plan for them here in the second half.
And the Huskies, Anthony, have also gotten some breaks, and they haven't capitalized on them. A couple of Arizona turnovers in the first half. Dante Pettis, the motion man. Jake Browning throwing on first down to Darrell Daniels, and the tight end cuts it back inside. And he picks up about 5 where Devontae Neal brings him down.
We showed what a big disparity there was in the first quarter with the 28 plays that Arizona ran to only 6 plays from Washington. That sort of flipped on its head a bit in the second quarter where Washington had the football and was able to control it for a much longer time.
Trying to establish their rhythm on offense as we're beginning the third quarter. Will Dissly in motion. Here's a pitch. to Myles Gaskin. Cuts it back in. First down, Washington. Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles brought him down.
Between the down blocking of Disley Sample, then the pullers being able to work their way around like Coleman Shelton as a center to snap the football and then get out of your stance and haul it to get outside the numbers. Extremely impressive for a guy who's only been playing center this season.
First and 10 Huskies. Again, it's Gaskin. Powers out across the 40.
The versatility that we've seen from Coleman Shelton has been there throughout his career. He's been a starter at all 5 positions on the offensive line for the Dogs. From left tackle to center all the way through to right tackle. 6'4", 293 pounds, so he's got a build, he's got a skill set that allows him to be effective at all 5 spots.
And when we talked to Chris Peterson and offensive coordinator Jonathan Smith earlier this week, both of them pointed out how effective that Shelton has been in the middle of that offensive line. Browning on second down, flushed out. He'll run. First down and more, and he slides just shy of midfield. Smart play by Jake Browning.
We're not going to confuse Jake Browning for Brandon Dawkins, but he's got that type of ability. The stats so far tonight, only 1 incompletion in the game, but we've seen him continue to get himself out of trouble by utilizing his feet. And what I like from Jake Browning as he runs, though, it's been a bit of the Rich Rodriguez mentality, the first down, touchdown, get down, not taking any big hits when he moves the pocket.
Levon Coleman through the right side. There he goes. Coleman brought down at the 10. Second big run that Levon Coleman has ripped off tonight.
Let's watch the guard. Jake Eldenkamp, again, another puller. You see the down block from the outside. That allows Eldenkamp to go and pancake the defender. Once you got your left guard able to flat back a guy right there in the hole, as decisive and definitive as Levon Coleman is on this run, getting himself vertical, working into the 3rd level untouched.
Yeah, that was impressive by Eldenkamp. The pancake block to free Coleman. Coleman up the middle, inside the 5. Levon Coleman down to the 3.
I don't want to jump the gun here, but just through the first 4 games that I've watched of Washington, 3.5 games at this point, Levon Coleman's just running the football better than Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin is a very talented ball carrier, but Levon Coleman not only just more consistently productive, but he's more definitive with the way he's running through the smoke. When he gets the football, immediately bursting towards and through the hole.
5 carries, 94 yards tonight for Coleman. Second down goal. Browning keeps into the end zone. Touchdown, Washington. First lead tonight for the Huskies.
Well, Browning has a lead blocker. It's Darrell Daniels. Doesn't really end up needing him. And that mobility, the underappreciated part of Jake Browning's game. His coaches, this staff from Washington, they know how well he moves. It's why they've made it a part of the offense.
Cameron Van Winkle for the point after. And it is good.
The offensive line leading the way for the Dogs as they attempt to seize control of this game. Jake Eldenkamp flat backing people. Levon Coleman into the 3rd level. And the quarterback, Jake Browning, not just the arm, the legs to make you pay.
Hey, that's a good look, Scout. That's a great look. Good job, 3-9. It's a way to run down there, man.
That's a snippet from the drive presented by Tire Pros, featuring Arizona Wildcats football. Debuting on Friday, September 30th, 10:30 p.m. Pacific time on Pac-12 Network. And the Cats looking for a response after Washington takes the lead here in Tucson. As the kick from Tristan Vizcaino is deep into the end zone, and Tyrell Johnson will stay there. And Anthony, people were wondering about this Washington offense. The passing game had been great. But where was the running game? When is that going to show up for the party? Well, tonight they've run for nearly 200 yards already. I think that the running game is just fine.
And they've got depth at the running back position. That's the great part about it. The offensive line, I believe, has blocked the run better and better, week by week, game by game. And the running back position, like I mentioned, Myles Gaskin, very talented. He's going to be a quality ball carrier moving forward. There's no doubt about that. But Lavon Coleman being healthy, we've seen him on the field. This is the best I've seen him look throughout his career.
Brandon Dawkins, and the handoff to J.J. Taylor. And he's smothered by Elijah Qualls. Seems
to be a movement out there. I hear a lot of folks kind of naysaying the value of momentum and how that plays into a game. Football is such an emotional sport. It's not a doubt in my mind momentum matters.
There's Brandon Dawkins. Gets out to the 30-yard line where it's third down.
And so a moment like this, it's incumbent upon Arizona offensively, defensively, reestablish momentum. See if you can gear up some additional emotion to become playmakers yet again.
On 3rd and 5, 4 receivers for Dawkins. Looking. Dawkins, it's nearly intercepted by Kevin King, who already has a pick tonight.
King, again, giving an off-man look on the under route. You see the rub there from the Arizona receivers, and this ball is just thrown so far behind. It's almost like Dawkins was attempting to throw it to King.
He was open.
Wide open. Nate Phillips knew it as well.
Dawkins now 11 of 15 through the air tonight. Dante Pettis, the dangerous return man, is Josh Pollock with a wobbly kick that takes an Arizona bounce, continues to take a Wildcat bounce. Inside the 5, or it's down by Arizona. The Huskies get the football deep in their own end after a 65-yard punt from Pollock.
A true sophomore quarterback for the Washington Huskies, Jake Browning. Execution beyond his years because of rhythm and timing. He had that within his high school offense. What he also possesses, though, he got beat up last season, had to showcase courage under fire defenders draped all over him. Advanced mechanics as a quarterback as well. We see that with his pocket mechanics, but also when they call sprints and boots where he has to move the pocket, able to get those shoulders square, use a bit of that boogie whip action to get the ball out accurately.
From the 5, here's Myles Gaskin, and he gets out to the 10-yard line. Brought down by John Kenny and Michael Barton. Browning has handled a blitz so well this year. Look at these numbers when facing a blitz. It's going to scare opposition into not blitzing against the Huskies.
This number is courtesy of College Football Focus as they break down the film with hundreds of years of experience that they have. 13 out of 14. It's one thing to get the ball out of your hands, but another to actually make plays with it, to count.
It's a lot of experience they've got, Anthony.
They've apparently got a lot of people on staff. It's what they post on the website. I believe it's up to 400 years of experience that they have with the folks who break down the film for them. Ryan McGrady, he confirms that for me. Pac-12 Network.
First reported by, then confirmed by.
Yes. Multiple sources confirmed. 400 years of experience.
3rd down and 2. The Zona Zoo is ready for this. The defense could use a stop here. Myles Gaskin should have enough. Jarvis McCall, the safety, coming up along with Devontae Neal on the tackle.
We're seeing a little bit of movement from the defensive front, but they're not penetrating. It almost looks to me like the splits from the Washington offensive line have become a bit tighter in tonight's game in anticipation of the movement they would see from the Arizona defensive front. What that allows you to do when you're a big guy up front on offense, if they beat you from a footwork standpoint, you can still get the rest of your body, the presence of your upper body in the hole to block them.
Here's the pitch to Myles Gaskin. Picks his way out across the 20, just shy of a first down. John Kenny on the tackle, along with Justin Belknap.
And on these stretch plays or the outside zone type opportunities, that's where I believe the patience of Myles Gaskin is really a plus. We just saw it play out on that snap.
How about Washington taking a page out of what Arizona did in the first quarter of this game? And the Huskies are turning it and putting it right back on Arizona. Again, 2 tight ends. John Ross in motion. Gaskin. First down, an impressive run by Myles Gaskin to move the chains for the Huskies.
And what I loved about it, even as he was making moves to evade defenders, he was still working vertical the entire time, because the blocking scheme tells you he's going to cut this back the entire way. One move is he works vertical. Another move is he continues to work vertical and churn out additional yardage.
Jumped right past Ialua Fanene and gets the first down. Now Coleman in at running back. Browning to throw. Browning deep down the left sideline for Dante Pettis, and it's broken up. Devontae Neal, the senior, the transfer from Notre Dame, broke up the pass intended for the speedy Pettis.
One of the things that Devontae Neal says makes him an effective corner is the fact that he played wide receiver early in his career. Feels that he has a sense for the route, for when the ball is in flight, in that moment of truth where you have to have the confidence, the faith in yourself to make the play.
Second down 10 from the Huskies, 29. Some miscommunication, but Coleman gets the handoff from Browning. Ends up getting a couple of yards. Again, it's John Kenny on the tackle, but it seemed there was some confusion there with the handoff to Coleman.
And there was a couple of pass plays in the first half as well where we see in this first away game the crowd noise, I believe, having more of an effect than maybe even Chris Peterson could have anticipated. The siren sounding, the Zona Zoo, knowing that it's 3rd and long. What would Marcel Yates dial up to try to get this defense off the field?
Well, he says he wants to blitz coming off the bus. We'll see if they bring it here. We know how good Browning is against the blitz. Browning, Dante Pettis in midfield. First down, UW.
Well, if there's anyone that they're going to leave on an island, it's going to be Devontae Neal. They have confidence in him to be able to do it. Dante Pettis, outstanding catch, going down, able to low point the football.
Son of longtime major leaguer, now major league coach Gary Pettis. Levon Coleman hit behind the line, fights forward back to the line of scrimmage, even ends up getting a yard of the play. But the surge from the Arizona defense, and Jack Bandon nearly got Coleman for a loss.
And it was initiated at first by Justin Belknap because he came unblocked off the edge. He just pulled the trigger on it. He didn't wait, didn't hesitate, saw the ball being delivered at the mesh point. This walk-on has been one of the better playmakers they've had up front this season.
How about that? A red shirt freshman, a walk-on, is starting at defensive end for the Wildcats.
Has started since game 1, still a walk-on. Hasn't gotten that scholarship yet.
Oh, it's coming. Here is Dotson on the carry. And Jamon Dotson upended after picking up another Washington first down by Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles.
Only 2 passes so far this drive. The offensive line leaning on the defensive front of Arizona, starting to gain control of this ball game.
And the Husky offensive line taking advantage of an undersized defensive front for the Wildcats. First and 10 from the 37. Here's Myles Gaskin up the middle. Cody Ippolito, Michael Barton on the tackle.
It's been quite a tricky situation that Marcel Yates, the Arizona defensive coordinator, has found himself in this season, where he knows the personnel that he's working with for Arizona in his first year, Rich Rodriguez brought him in. It's not precisely what he would look for. the athleticism overall, especially in the front seven, not at the level he would like, and certainly would look for a little more beef. He had some beef to work with in Boise State. It wasn't a bunch of 330-pounders, but guys who at least approach 3 bills and could hit blocks.
Myles Gaskin into the line. And there's some deep connections on these coaching staffs. There is Marcel Yates, along with Chris Peterson, Pete Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator for Washington, Bob Gregory, the Washington linebackers coach. They were all on the staff at Boise State together.
Deep-rooted relationships. All guys, high-level teachers of the game of football from that Chris Peterson coaching tree began by Mike Bellotti at Oregon.
3rd down. Dotson. Very close. Appears to be a bit shy. As Javon Dotson brought down by John Kenny.
Well, that play call just shows you what Chris Peterson thinks about the way his offensive line is blocking at this point. It's bringing up a 4th and 1, but you pick up a 5-yard gain on 3rd and 6. And you've got a quarterback in Jake Browning who has yet to put the ball in jeopardy, but they ran it.
4th and 1. Myles Gaskin. I don't think he got it, Anthony. I think he stopped short.
It's close. It's very close.
They'll measure. Our 1st and 10 marker, it's not exact, but it's pretty close to it. And I'm trusting it. I think Washington turned this one over on downs. Arizona has held.
Short yardage scenarios tend to determine the outcome of football games. Linebacker scraping over the top. Blocks hit. Stop made. Jake Matthews returning from a Liz Frank injury. Watch him scrape as a little bit of penetration is allowed by that Washington offensive line. Matthews, after considering ending his football career, back here in big fashion.
J.J. Taylor, the freshman running back for the Wildcats, out to the 34.
Matthews, very interesting story because after that Liz Frank injury he suffered last season, the recovery just wasn't going the way he wanted. During training camp, he was going to consider giving the game up.
Brandon Dawkins broken up over the middle. Good read by Darren Gardenhire, but there's a flag that comes in late in the secondary, and Gardenhire can't believe it.
There's so many different defensive backs that are great in man coverage.
Interference, number 3, defense. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul.
There's Gardenhire. He's used to being matched up one-on-one. They've got faith and confidence in him when they go nickel. They're calling him for that left hand that's wrapped around Trey Griffey. The upfield shoulder was fine. It's the left hand they call.
Brandon Dawkins on the rollout under pressure, and he gets leveled as he throws it out of bounds. No grounding. He was outside the tackle box, but he took a shot, and it was Azeem Victor coming up.
I mean, this was a titanic hit that he took. This cuts back inside, gets hit low, gets hit high. JoJo Mathis has him around the head, around the legs, and then Azeem Victor does what he tends to do.
Second down and 10. Just shy of midfield for the Wildcats. And it's J.J. Taylor taking the handoff. And that's the 19th carry tonight for the diminutive freshman brought down by Greg Gaines. And Taylor is clutching his left ankle And that's not what Rich Rodriguez wants to see, considering he's already down Nick Wilson, who is not in uniform tonight. They are shorthanded at running back. So Orlando Bradford was dismissed from the football team. Wilson is out, and now Taylor is down, a sight that Arizona does not want to see. The Arizona medical staff, after being brought down on the play, and it appeared it was his left ankle, and that did not look like it was fun.
Certainly an angle you don't want either of your ankles to bend at. He was able to limp off. Hopefully that's a positive sign.
So Tyrell Johnson now at running back as Dawkins steps up, throws, upended, and the pass was behind and too high for Nate Phillips, and it's 4th down.
Dawkins ends up holding the football. He's looking, evaluating. And once you continue to look, especially when you're staring at the same receiver the entire way, it's setting them up to take hits like this. That decisive nature we were talking about so frequently in the first half. Now we see more hesitation from Brandon Dawkins as a passer.
Dawkins just 1 for his last 6 as JoJo McIntosh, the safety, was there to break up that pass from Dawkins intended for Nate Phillips. Josh Pollock with a line drive kick toward Dante Pettis, who handles it back around the 5, and he's brought down. That's a way to control this outstanding special teams return game, both kickoffs and punts, as Pettis was wedged back at the 5-yard line. Tonight's Nissan Heisman Watch. There's Christian McCaffrey from the Stanford Cardinal. Lamar Jackson off to a great start with Louisville. J.T. Barrett, the quarterback at Ohio State. How about Donnell Pumphrey, averaging close to 200 yards per game?
Nation's leading rusher, and Pumphrey on pace to break a lot of the significant Mountain West Conference rushing records. He's a player at San Diego State. They're nationally ranked right now, and a lot of folks are saying that if they can end up going undefeated, maybe even San Diego State could be in the picture.
Browning steps up under pressure. He'll run. Space for Browning. And he lunges forward, runs for a Washington 1st down.
Well, it's almost like Jake Browning is utilizing the Rich Rodriguez coaching points. Thinking 1st down, touchdown, get down. We're seeing him utilize the mobility, the legs on display, but then not taking any big hits. We've seen Brandon Dawkins get punished. A lot of big hits he's taken throughout the game while he's been on the move. Browning's been getting down.
From the Husky 19, the pitch to Myles Gaskin. And Gaskin brought down for a loss. The corner, Dane Cruikshank. Let's check in with Lewis Johnson.
Well, here on the far sideline, J.J. Taylor trying to deal with what must be some significant pain in that left ankle. He has been up on the bench, off. He tried to walk, and you can see in his face that he's trying to mask the pain that he's in as the doctors and trainers look at him very closely. And as he gets back up on the bench, he's had players come over and give those signs of respect, but they're still trying to figure out what's going on. But his face and the way he's moving says that for the moment, undiagnosed, but it's not good.
Yeah, Lewis clearly frustrated as you look at J.J. Taylor as Dante Pettis, the catch for a Washington 1st down, out to the 35.
J.J. Taylor, even back in high school, the type of grit and determination we've seen through the last couple of games, he was showing it back then. His junior year in high school, he actually had an appendectomy going into the playoffs, and it took everything for his football coaches at high school at Centennial to try to keep him off the field. Tried to get back in time for the state championship game. This was just weeks removed from appendicitis and a surgery removing it.
Mom also had a hand in keeping him off the field.
That she did.
We've reached the end of 3. Pac-12 After Dark never fails. Good one in Tucson. We're ready to get conference play going. It's a reverse. Ross down the sideline. Touchdown. Dawkins to the outside. 79 yards into the end zone. Touchdown, Washington.
Jake Browning, not just the arm, the legs to make you pay.
We start the fourth in Tucson along with Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson. Roxy Bernstein with you as number 9 Washington getting all they can handle from Arizona. They lead it as we start the fourth. The concern for the Wildcats is running back, Anthony, already without Nick Wilson. J.J. Taylor got hurt. What can Arizona do at running back, and what can they do against Washington without those two guys?
They've got to try to force some takeaways here. Defensively, this is a football team that's been able to accomplish that. When you look at the game and a half coming into tonight, they forced 6 turnovers. They had, the term I prefer to use, 6 takeaways in the second half versus Grambling State. Got 2 more last week versus Hawaii. Now in this game, the number 1 turnover margin team in the Pac-12, Washington, they haven't been giving the football up. There was the 1 fumble from John Ross III that he recovered by himself. They need takeaways on defense. Got to be in attack mode here.
And Washington's been able to control the line of scrimmage and getting their ground game going after a slow start. Jake Browning for Chico McClatcher. "35 yards from Browning to McClatcher, and the Huskies are in Arizona territory."
This outside release from McClatcher while still allowing space down the sideline for Browning to drop the football over his shoulder.
Now the Huskies go at tempo for McClatcher, and it's incomplete.
This was a missed opportunity from Browning. McClatcher works inside shoulder. And again, getting beyond the safety. That's another missed touchdown chance there. Browning hasn't missed many of them this season. He's missed a couple tonight.
Second down 10 at the Arizona 28. 2 tight ends on the right. And Gaskin runs it right. And Myles Gaskin, a short gain to bring up 3rd down.
When they leave Arizona's defense, when they leave Jarvis McCall Jr. back in a single high look, it allows all their best cover people to play down towards the box. McCall is their best tackler. So here on 3rd and 7, they're showing too deep right now. I believe that single high look with McCall may be their best bet, though.
3rd and 7. Good protection. Now Browning down the sideline, intercepted. Dane Cruikshank, the JC transfer, his first career pick, and it's an enormous one for the Wildcats.
While the Huskies were driving offensively, Browning climbs the pocket as a passer, likes the matchup he sees, underthrows his running back Myles Gaskin, who's one-on-one with Dane Cruikshank. And Jake Browning, as soon as the football left his hands, he could tell he didn't put the football quite in the placement he wanted. Yet another pass flatter off the hands of Browning when there was an opportunity for more of a teardrop, the trajectory over the top of the defender as opposed to the flat pass.
The dejection from Browning throwing his 2nd interception of the season. And they had a chance to possibly deliver a knockout blow here early in the 4th quarter. And Arizona comes up with a huge defensive play.
We were just discussing it, Roxy. Getting a takeaway, getting the football back to your offense, stealing a possession when Washington was driving the long field. Now that word momentum that I believe in, I know some folks don't, but momentum is a real thing in an emotional sport like football. Can your team believe in what you're doing at a level that allows them to play with that extra heartbeat? We'll see if the tempo of this Arizona offense displays the extra heartbeat they showed earlier in this contest.
Arizona at their own 1. Brandon Dawkins now minus J.J. Taylor. To Tyrell Johnson, the running back. Wildcats extremely thin at that position. And it's Johnson who just does get out of the end zone, no gain. And Johnson, who is listed as a wide receiver, has played some running back in his Arizona career. But that's how desperate they are on the offensive side right now at running back.
He's got a Chico McClatcher sort of skill set for Arizona. I don't like him running into the teeth of the defense here from his 1 yard line, though.
On second down from the end zone, Dawkins. Darren Gardenhire called for interference.
That's the right call. Darren Gardenhire knows it.
Trying to get the ball to Samaje Grant.
Pass interference. Number 3, defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. That's an automatic first down.
And the second interference call against Gardenhire tonight.
It's a gutsy call off the bat, just to allow Brandon Dawkins to drop back into his own end zone against the number 2 sack artist team in the Pac-12 Conference. Trey Griffey, no opportunity to come up with that football.
So it was Trey Griffey, the receiver, that was interfered with, not Grant. But it gives Arizona some breathing room. Trouble with the snap. Dawkins incomplete through the hands of Shun Brown.
It's the mishandled snap. They threw the timing off in a moment where you need to be executing at your best. Can you keep your head about you when all around you are losing theirs in these critical moments?
Here's a pitch to Johnson, trying to get to the outside. Turns it up. Spun down as he reaches the 20 by Sam Uche.
In this check with me scenario, we discussed it with Brandon Dawkins as he looks to the sideline, trying to get the next play in. And it's up to him to try and determine how quickly that next ball will get snapped.
The Husky defense has cranked it up here in the second half.
One thing we haven't seen as much of tonight, with good reason, is movement in the secondary. Not as much stem from the Dogs defense.
On third down, it's Johnson. Lost the football. Washington gets it back. Elijah Qualls forced it.
This is the situation that Arizona finds themselves in offensively. While Terrell Johnson has gotten practice reps at the running back position, very different to run into the teeth of a defense when you're going thud on the practice field than it is when you've got the top defense in the Pac-12 Conference at live speed.
So Qualls the first man there, and then Keyshawn Bierria and Azim Victor were in there. And it's Bierria that recovered the football. And a huge turnover forced by the Husky defense. Myles Gaskin straight ahead to the 21, a gain of 5.
As much movement as Marcel Yates uses in his defensive front, it's incumbent upon the linebackers where they know where the slant's coming or the stunt's coming from the defensive front, so there has to be someone at the second level fitting off of that slant or off of that stunt. And so whether it's Cody Ippolito, whether it's Paul McGlure, Jake Matthews, there has to be a linebacker at the second level fitting off the hip of that stunter defensive lineman.
On 2nd and 5 for the Huskies at the Arizona 21. Browning under pressure, and he's sacked. Jack Banda.
They're drawing deep into the depth chart to get people to play with that hard edge. 2 best members of the front 4, again, Parker Zellis, DeAndre Miller, not in the lineup tonight. Jack Banda responding, answering the bell.
3rd and 7.
Volume of the Arizona.
Browning for Darrell Daniels, broken up. Demetrius Flanagan fouls there defensively for the Cats, and it's 4th down, the field goal unit coming on.
When they needed it, Cody Ippolito, watch him looping around, nice X stunt. Sonny Fuimaono takes 2 blockers with him. Ippolito does an outstanding job wrapping around tightly, pressuring the errant pass from Jake Browning.
This will be a 40-yard attempt for Cameron Van Winkle, who's missed already tonight. He hit the upright in the first half. Plenty of leg. No good. Van Winkle 0 for 2 tonight. He cannot make it a 2-score game. Arizona hanging in there. Dogs by 7. Pac-12 football is presented by TIAA. See how we're a different kind of financial company at TIAA.org. And by Dr. Pepper. It's a college football tradition. And by Barbasol, America's leader for a close, comfortable shave, now with rust-proof aluminum bottoms. The emotions in Pac-12 play as the conference opener for both Rich Rod and the Arizona Wildcats and number 9 Washington. Rich Rod excited after a missed field goal attempt keeps this a 1-score game with 10:24 to go.
Feels even more dramatic after dark.
Zach Green, the ball carrier.
Who?
It's where Arizona's going, deep into the depth chart at running back. No Nick Wilson tonight. He is not in uniform. J.J. Taylor, who's rushed for 97 yards and a touchdown, is injured. So the Wildcats thin. Brandon Dawkins slings it out to Sean Brown, and Arizona picks up a first down.
But with Terrell Johnson on the field, it can still give them the versatility to utilize him in the backfield as a running back or to go empty. You can motion him out. There's so many different things they can do from a personnel standpoint to confuse the defense.
From the 36, this is Tyrell Johnson tripped up by Joe Mathis.
Rich Rodriguez showing the confidence to go back to Johnson, handing the football to him again.
It's not like he's got many options at this point.
Right.
Johnson, the motion man on second down. In the flat to Tyrell. Short gain. Buda Baker. Nice tackle in open space.
They're such great tacklers. When Brandon Dawkins made the proper read, he allowed the defense to drop, threw it to Tyrell Johnson into the flat, and that's a position where you know he's got to make one man miss and advance towards the first down. Buda Baker just made a short tackle.
On 3rd down 7, Dawkins steps up and goes down. Joe Mathis off the edge, tripped him up, and Dawkins will take a loss on the play, and it's 4th down.
JoJo Mathis has been one of the more efficient. Great job working the outside hand. You see him going to work, then dips that shoulder and gets just enough of the right heel of Brandon Dawkins to bring him down.
Josh Pollock to punt. Traditional punt this time, and Dante Pettis catching the Huskies get it back at their own 20. 8:14 to go. Huskies up a touchdown on the road. Here is the 76 fueled moment.
And why not utilize the churning legs of JR3? His quarterback, Jake Browning, picks up a Titanic block by QB standards. And then Sammy Davis Jr., a.k.a. John Ross, tiptoes down the sideline, fleet of foot for 6.
And he took out a defensive lineman. We've got to point that out.
280-pounder.
On 1st down, Levon Coleman on the carry, and he gets 3 to bring up 2nd and 7. Huskies trying to grind it out. Their run game has been strong tonight.
There was a point where I said it on the Pac-12 network several times calling games where I felt like Levon Coleman was the future of the running back position for Washington. He's just been so nicked up throughout his career.
Just went over 100 yards for the night. Again, it's Coleman. Breaks a tackle on 2nd effort. Turns a negative into a positive. And let's send it to a positive. And Mike Yam.
All right, Roxy, time for a TIAA game break. You know, I did not forget about your birthday, so I got a little early present for you, and it comes in the form of Davis Webb padding his stats. Had 300 yards passing before this play to Trey Watson, who scampered 74 yards for the touchdown in the tie game that is no longer tied. The Bears on top 34-27.
All right, Mike, it's a touchdown game there and a touchdown game here in a critical 3rd and 5. Good protection for Browning. Still looking. Tried to get it to Darrell Daniels. Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles got a hand on it. 4th down.
Can't overstate how impressed I am with the execution of the Arizona defense tonight. With so many backups in the lineup, Jake Browning all day, no pass rush at all throughout this game. The secondary, adhesive level coverage on 3rd and long.
So the punting unit on for Washington as Victor late out onto the field. Play clock rolling down. Huskies are in trouble. And it's a delay of game. They did not get the snap off in time. Some confusion in regards to the punt team.
So 4th down.
And that spills over into a delay of game, and it costs Washington 5 yards.
We've seen a few of these self-inflicted wounds from Washington that weren't there in the first 3 weeks when they're at home and they're beating people by 40 points and they have these dynamic touchdowns going on. Here on the road with the Zona Zoo getting after you, we're seeing some chinks in the armor.
8th penalty against the Dogs tonight. They were the 3rd least penalized team in the conference coming in. Low line drive kick that bounces. Stumbling and going down immediately was Nate Phillips after a 46-yard skipping punt. Good field position, though, for the Wildcats.
Pass defense from this Wildcat secondary, as good as it's been the entire season. Devontae Neal one-on-one. As Jake Browning moves the pocket, big interception from Dan Cruikshank. And now at the safety position, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles coming up with multiple big plays. The 50-50 ball we knew was a concern coming in, and who would be able to rise up at the moment of truth. Tonight it's been the Cats more often than not.
And the concern now for Rich Rod and the Wildcats is the running back position. As Brandon Dawkins off a low snap on 1st down. And out of the backfield, Zach Green cannot hang on.
It's been a bit of a volume passing second half for Arizona's offense. With 5 carries in the first half for Brandon Dawkins for over 100 yards, 104 to be exact. Only 2 carries in the second half for 0 yards. They haven't utilized him as a runner, as a ball carrier in this half.
On 2nd down, Dawkins. Under pressure for Green, hit immediately and knocked backwards by Budda Baker. And a short gain to the junior running back, Zach Green, and it's 3rd and long for Arizona.
Just think of the moments we saw throughout the initial part of the game. The RPOs, the run-pass options, the pressure that puts on the defense. I believe we need to get back to seeing Brandon Dawkins on the move.
Tyrell Johnson, the running back, on 3rd and 7. Dawkins, he'll run. He'll get the 1st down. Into Washington territory, breaks a tackle. Dawkins shoved out of bounds by Budda Baker. Brandon Dawkins says, who needs a running back?
As the game enters cold crush depth, do what you do, Brandon Dawkins. He's got the wheels. Budda Baker just narrowly forcing him out of bounds.
1st and goal, Wildcats. Dawkins, his 2nd consecutive 100-yard rushing game. Here is Zach Green, bowling his way inside the 5, the pile pushing forward. Runner was down, no fumble on the play. Forward progress for Zach Green is the 2.
The rotation up front for Washington's defensive line has been diminished so much in the ball game, partially due to tempo from Arizona, but even as the tempo has waned as it has in this second half, we've seen Pete Kwiatkowski make the decision to stick with his starters in this tight ball game.
2nd and goal. Rich Rod runs onto the field to get a timeout as the officials don't see him from the sideline. They finally notice the Arizona coach, and he gets the timeout.
First charge timeout, Arizona. It's a 30-second timeout. The timeout was called prior to the expiration of the play clock.
I wonder how animated Rich Rodriguez was as he signaled this timeout. Timeout?
That's a full
Timeout?
60-second timeout. Thank you.
Timeout? Timeout! I said timeout!
There's Nick Wilson in the huddle, the injured running back. Unfortunately, he's got company in the running back room in the injury department as J.J. Taylor was injured earlier here in the second half. And there is Taylor. You can see he's taken off the jersey with Jamardre Cobb, who is out as well. It's a long list of injuries for Arizona. Let's send it down to Lewis Johnson.
Yeah, Roxy, and more than just the jersey coming off, worth noting that he has crutches, and if you look, the left foot ankle is in a boot, and that's not something you want to see if you're an Arizona football fan. He's had a steady stream of players come back, teammates to give him a pat on the shoulder and offer him some words of support, but a tough sight there.
Unfortunately, that boot is a familiar sight right now for the Arizona football team because Nick Wilson was in one last Saturday night. But the Wildcats are hanging in there with unbeaten number 9 Washington. And a chance to tie the game here. Down 21-14, 2nd and goal as Wilson looks on with 4:50 remaining.
I believe they're taking a risk if they run into the teeth of the defense. Move laterally.
Dawkins leaps into the end zone. Touchdown, Arizona.
That's where it had to happen. Between Greg Gaines, Elijah Qualls, Vita Vea, you weren't going to make any hay running right at him. Spring in the step of a sophomore quarterback trying to seize the victory from the night and the starting quarterback job potentially for the Cats.
2nd rushing touchdown for Dawkins. And we're tied at 21 with 4:45 remaining. As Brandon Dawkins, the sophomore quarterback, 162 yards rushing, and his 2nd touchdown tonight has tied the game as Arizona right in there with number 9 Washington.
Well, Chris Peterson has mentioned the word adversity. They've certainly faced it throughout tonight's game. Brandon Dawkins has been all over the field with his legs, 247 total yards. A couple of touchdowns to go along with it. Big night running the football for Levine Coleman as that offensive line for the Dogs got churning, especially in half number 2. J.J. Taylor had a big game going prior to the injury, that left ankle. He was breaking ankles for the opposing team initially. 97 rushing yards before he had to leave the lineup.
So the Zona Zoo energized with the Wildcats tying it up with Washington. So the Huskies, Anthony, are about to get the football back. What do you want to see from UW as they get the football here in this tie game?
I believe Washington needs to be back in a position at this point of utilizing that offensive line that we spoke about. They're healthy at running back. We haven't seen any bodies leave the lineup for that O-line. They really did start to seize control in this ball game. Jake Browning, with some errant passes, is really what stalled them throughout the 4th quarter. The run game has been there. Go back to it.
Washington has come up empty on each of their last 4 possessions. Edgar Gustellum with the kickoff. And a pooch kick coming up for Washington is Austin Joyner. And Joyner shy of the 35-yard line. Arizona did not want John Ross to have a chance to electrify the Huskies here. Stay tuned after the ball game. For Mike Yam, Nigel, and recapping the day in college football. The final score presented by Microsoft. Drama at the Rose Bowl between Stanford and UCLA. How about Colorado going to Eugene? And of course, the battle here in Tucson, opening conference play for both Washington and Arizona tonight. And Pac-12 After Dark has delivered a tie ball game with 4:40 remaining. Washington trying to get their first win in Tucson since 2006. And they go to the ground and Myles Gaskin. And he leans forward out to the 42, a gain of 8.
No need to be in a hurry, 4.5 minutes left. You're still in minus territory, but you're nearing midfield. This offensive line has been able to push around and bully around the defensive front, the depleted defenders in the front seven of Arizona.
Over 280 yards on the ground for Washington. Myles Gaskin, the second effort, should be enough for a first down. Cody Ippolito, Demetrius Flanagan fouls on the tackle. First down, Huskies.
And we see the rotation of running back, Lavon Coleman, back onto the field. Of course, ball security at a premium. But one of the things Marcel Yates needs to make sure he's communicating down the field level, ball insecurity for the Cats defense.
Lavon Coleman in space. Coleman to the outside. Lavon Coleman. Touchdown, Washington. 56 yards. And Tucson is stunned as Lavon Coleman rips off a long touchdown run. Career high 157 yards for the junior Lavon Coleman. And the extra point from Cameron Van Winkle after Coleman's first rushing touchdown of the season.
We saw another look. Eldrin Camp pulled play side. Lavon Coleman just didn't like what he saw. Cuts it all the way back across the formation, and this is the extra gear that Jonathan Smith was telling us about as Coleman takes it the distance. The entire defense sunk in. They read the guard, Jake Eldrenkamp. They followed him play side. I don't know what it is. Lavon Coleman looks a little more slender to me. That gait looks a little more vibrant.
He's averaging close to 16 yards per carry tonight.
That's pretty vibrant.
That'll give you a little juice, that extra step. So Chris Peterson watches his team reclaim the lead after Arizona tied it, and quickly the Huskies respond. It takes them only a minute 15 to go back in front.
Well, one of the benefits of the run game that I didn't get to was the ability to run the clock down. Didn't do it so much on that drive. 3.5 minutes remaining, plenty of time for Brandon Dawkins and the Rich Rodriguez offense.
So Dawkins in his third consecutive start in the absence of Anu Solomon. We'll get the football with the Cats down a score here with 3:25 to play.
It's been a big night. The third career start for Brandon Dawkins. We mentioned how decisive he was early in the ball game, shrugging off defenders, going 79 yards on that touchdown run. Here, getting his team back into the game, tying the score down inside the 5.
So the Arizona offense needs to answer one more time here with 3:25 to go.
The press bail look that we've seen more of in the second half from the Washington secondary, that seems to have confused Brandon Dawkins to a degree where he just hasn't been as efficient throwing the football. What, he hit his first 11 passes before an incomplete? Different story since then.
Just 3 of 11 since. And there's Dawkins, the short pass to Shun Brown, just shy of a first down. What were you talking about there as far as the defense that he's seeing?
Kevin King, we saw a great look at it in the previous quarter where you initially go up to the receiver and make it look like you're going to be in press man, and it's easy to assume that because Washington plays so much man coverage, but then at the snap you bail away from the receiver as a defensive back.
Dawkins will run. First down and more as Dawkins lunges forward out across the 45.
There's an element of being able to shore up the big play that allows that when you go into bail, as opposed to turning and running with the receiver, you still keep eyes in the backfield. Washington's secondary should be in a better position from press bail. This alignment is press, but we will likely again see Gardenhire keep eyes in the backfield, open his hips up to move away.
From the 47, 1st and 10, Arizona. Dawkins. There's a flag coming in. And Dawkins took a big hit on the play as Joe Mathis along with Keyshawn Bierria there converging on the quarterback. But the flag thrown at the line of scrimmage from the Washington sideline.
Personal foul, clipping, number 58, offense. 15-yard penalty, still first down.
Costly penalty against left tackle Laith Frick.
And as you're trying to overtake a defender on the backside of a play, so Laith Frick from the left tackle, a lot of times he'll be trying to scoop block a defender towards the inside when there's an outside zone play running away from him. As an offensive lineman, if you can get in front of the defender, you're allowed to cut block. There they ruled Laith Frick jumped on the back legs of the defensive lineman.
Just the second penalty against Arizona tonight. First down and a long way to go. Dawkins will just get rid of it. Pressure from Sam Uching.
Frick, left tackle. They're going to zone away. As he steps down, it's up to him to beat the defender to the spot. He doesn't get around Greg Gaines. He just jumps on the back of his leg. You see that play out so frequently on the interior. Sometimes the officials miss that call. There they actually got it right.
It's a dangerous play for the defensive lineman right there. And luckily Gaines is okay as Dawkins breaks a tackle, keeps the play alive. Now gets rid of it, downfield, caught, Shun Brown. Wow, did that just happen?
If I'm not mistaken, there was 320 pounds hanging around the waistline of Brandon Dawkins. Elijah Qualls made a hellacious move to apply the pressure, just couldn't bring him down.
Inside a minute and a half to go. 1st and 10, Arizona. After a 54-yard pass play is Zach Green inside the 10.
And it was actually Vita Vea from the interior, 330 pounds. The sophomore couldn't bring down Dawkins, out the stiff arm, then the ball skills to get back into throwing mechanics and deliver it downfield to Shun Brown.
Second down. Nothing there for the Wildcats. We're inside a minute now. Arizona has 2 timeouts. Washington has their full complement of 3.
Well, it would surprise me if the conditioning of Brandon Dawkins was in play at all for why they're running into the teeth as opposed to keeping him on the move here inside the 10. Allow him to threaten the edge of the defense with his speed and decision making.
And Arizona calls timeout with 34 seconds to play.
Timeout, Arizona. That's second timeout.
One more look at the heroics from Brandon Dawkins. This was a sensational effort by the Arizona quarterback.
Initially, it was a missed read because he had the opportunity to throw the football over the middle for an easy completion. Just shrugs off Vita Vea, who's going to be in the NFL in a couple of seasons, and then stays in bounds. I'm worried about his heel stepping out of bounds. He stays in bounds and then throws it downfield to Shun Brown, just over the outstretched fingertips of one of the best safeties in college football.
Third and 3. Wildcats at the Washington 7-yard line. Trouble with the snap for Dawkins. Throws it to the end zone. Just off the hands of the lunging Nate Phillips.
And that was intended to be a sprint. They were planning to move the pocket. Just another low snap, and this has been a struggle throughout the season from Nathan Eldridge. He's a redshirt freshman, wasn't anticipated to be the starter initially.
And Arizona will use their last timeout before this 4th down. So 4th and 3 for the Wildcats. 27 seconds remaining from the Washington 7-yard line. What are you looking for from Arizona?
For Arizona offensively, very similar to what it looked like they were going to attempt to execute on that snap. Just the snap ended up being low and completely threw off the rhythm of the play. But get Brandon Dawkins to the edge of the defense. I don't even think they need to show any run action in the backfield, but it is frequently a part of that play. But get Brandon Dawkins towards the edge of the defense and allow a scissors concept to develop. We spent some time during the week talking about the rub routes and crossing routes that Washington takes advantage of. Arizona does the exact same thing, and it's very effective, especially for smaller receivers here in the red zone, to be able to find creases to get open. But if Brandon Dawkins doesn't like what he sees, that's where the legs have to take over and potentially run for a touchdown.
Stacked receivers on both sides. Zach Green, the running back. This is down the sideline to timeout.
First charge time, Washington. It's a 30-second timeout.
One more look at that play from Dawkins and why we're in this situation.
I'm not sure how many other plays will be close to this, as we're talking about the potential for 12 best nominees on Sunday night. Pac-12 Sports Report, Mike Yam, Ashley Adamson. I know you're both watching. It's Pac-12 After Dark. Able to fire this football down the field. This is just phenomenal from Brandon Dawkins, who just think about a month ago wasn't anticipated to be in this position. The QB battle over the offseason had been won by Anu Solomon, and the thought was the third-year starter would just take it away.
What can he do on 4th down? Can he keep Arizona alive? On the move, Brandon Dawkins toward the sideline. First down, Wildcats.
Precisely what I anticipated. That's the play that was run.
Nate Phillips on the catch. Yeah, you called it. 22 seconds to go. Dawkins, touchdown. Josh Kern, his 2nd career touchdown. So now Josh Pollock to try and tie the game with 17 seconds to go with the extra point. Matt Morin is the holder. Nick Reinhardt is the snapper. We're even. Brandon Dawkins making things happen again.
The action draws the defense to the wide side of the field. Then Brandon Dawkins, as the runner, draws 2 defenders at him as he lures the defenders in like a wily vet. Just throws a nice, easy pass to Josh Kern.
A little subdued Rich Rod. Just a little fist pump, that's it.
But still trailing by 1 at that point.
And Josh Kern, the senior tight end from San Antonio, who came in to Arizona as a quarterback. Moved to tight end back in 2012. And on the receiving end of Brandon Dawkins' touchdown pass. And it's 28-all with 17 seconds to play.
And let's not forget, it was maybe 90 minutes ago, we saw Brandon Dawkins losing his lunch. I mean, this has been a big load he's had to carry tonight between the run game, the pass game, that hard edge that Rich Rodriguez talks about to get comfortable being uncomfortable. All this playing out while his team has to bear down and attempt to force this game to OT.
Any way you kick this ball to John Ross? That was a silly question, I guess.
It was worth asking, but no, that should not happen here.
And they squib it. And the bouncer fielded by Austin Joyner. And Joyner out near the 40. 12 seconds to go, and Washington thinking, you know what? I've seen a Hail Mary on this field before. Except it was the home team that threw it.
Well, there is no Austin Hill in the lineup for the Washington Huskies at wide receiver.
Speaking of that Hail Mary, and Anu Solomon is here, but not in uniform tonight.
A pretty pass. Austin Hill didn't even have to jump after they trailed by 3 scores for the win.
A miraculous comeback for Arizona. All day to throw. Now the pocket collapses, and he's sacked. Jack Banda with his second sack tonight. And that'll take us to the end of regulation. Pac-12 After Dark is taking you to overtime. $28-all between number 9 Washington and Arizona. So the Arizona Wildcats answer twice in the second half after Washington surged in front.
And not only is this an Arizona roster that's depleted, but it's a team that hasn't executed at a high level. We're in game 4. We've seen Rich Rodriguez, his staff, his team for the second consecutive week now with our Pac-12 Network crew. And they know there's been some swings and misses throughout the season, but they've been building week by week. And while other offenses have made big plays against Arizona so far this season, this is certainly the best offense they faced this season. And the defense has showed up with some of their best players not even being in the lineup, and some who are not at full strength.
How about what Brandon Dawkins has done the last 2 games at quarterback for the Wildcats in place of the injured Anu Solomon? And Dawkins, after struggling in his first half as the starter against Grambling State, ever since has been building and playing terrific football for Rich Rod and the Wildcats.
And wasn't he fun to talk to? You know, he was able to crack jokes about the in-game moments he experiences with Rich Rodriguez.
All right, our coin toss here.
Gentlemen, we are now going into overtime. You will have 1 timeout per period. If we get to the 3rd period, if you score 6, you will have to go for 2 points. A 1-point try will not score a point. Washington, you are the visiting team, so you will call it. Your choices, offense, defense, or which end of the field, you may not defer your choice. What is your choice? What is your choice, heads or tails? Heads. Okay, tails. You have won the toss. You want to go on defense. Which end of the field? We'll go at this end. Washington will be on offense.
Arizona chooses defense. We're going to overtime because of the elusiveness and the magical Brandon Dawkins.
It's been a courageous night for Brandon Dawkins, shrugging off 330 pounds, reestablishing throwing mechanics just an eyelash from the sideline. Teardrop to Shun Brown making the play, and then as Dawkins moves the pocket and the game's on the line, his veins are at absolute 0.
Here we go, first possession of overtime between number 9 Washington and Arizona. As the Huskies have won 6 straight ball games dating back to last year. While Arizona looking for the upset, they've knocked off a top 10 team in each of the last 4 seasons and trying to make it 5 years in a row.
And the Cats defense was out on the field waiting for Washington's offense.
Each team has run for over 300 yards tonight. And it's the give to Levon Coleman. Coleman to the outside. Coleman fights his way inside the 5. First and goal, UW. Powerful run by Levon Coleman.
Again, the offensive line at the point of attack, complete dominance on the front 7 of Arizona. Levon Coleman able to turn north and south, not settle for the first down, wanting the touchdown.
Inside the 1 as Coleman limped off after the play. Myles Gaskin dropped behind the line. Michael Barton, the first hit as the Wildcat defense had a party in the backfield.
He's the former Cal Bear. Marcel Yates has been looking week by week for additional opportunities to get Michael Barton onto the football field. A lot of times, short yardage situations demand that you will hit blocks up front. Arizona's just not in a position to do that, snap in and snap out. The movement has gotten it done situationally.
A loss of 3, back to the 4. Second down. Jake Browning. Corner of the end zone, incomplete. Tried to get it to John Ross.
What's interesting, Roxy, is this field position. The fact that Levon Coleman didn't score but got it so close to scoring, now the route tree is condensed when you're inside the 5, and they don't have these big skyscraper wide receivers that can create their own space by boxing people out.
Chico McClatcher goes in motion. Browning on third down. Touchdown! Dante Pettis.
This was not an easy grab for Dante Pettis because just at the last moment, McCall just flashed in front of his face and it looked like Jarvis McCall was going to come up with the deflection. The concentration necessary on that play from Dante Pettis was otherworldly.
Third touchdown of the season for Pettis. Cameron Van Winkle gets the extra point. 35-28 Washington, and now Arizona gets their possession.
This should have been a scenario where defensively they were able to occupy more of that territory because the offense is inside the 5. There's just less space you have to cover as a secondary. But Jake Browning, as we've talked about throughout the night, the pass rush just hasn't been able to harass him. So he's been cool, calm, and confident to be able to stand tall in the pocket.
So in case you're unfamiliar with the rules of overtime, each team gets a possession. Washington scored a touchdown and with the extra point on theirs, and now Arizona gets their chance to tie the game. They have to score a touchdown or the ball game is over. Faking the reverse, Dawkins keeps it. And Dawkins stood up after a gain of 2. Kevin King and Azim Victor were out there for Washington, and they didn't bite on that fake on the reverse.
It's one of the few times we saw the defensive front of Washington stem, and they stemmed to the short side of the field. It looked like initially the play set up perfectly for Dawkins to turn the corner. They were just able to string him out laterally long enough.
2nd and 8. Dawkins complete. First down. Shun Brown with the catch. And it seems there's a strong connection between Dawkins and Brown.
Certainly has been in the second half here. It's a good, accurate ball, not anywhere near defender having an opportunity to deflect it by Brandon Dawkins.
And it was a strong connection last week when Brown had 5 catches for 92 yards and his first career touchdown. A pistol look with Zach Green in at running back. And Green to the 10. Short gain, Elijah Qualls on the stop.
That's such a luxury for Washington, as many tackles as their defensive front makes, because they hit blocks so effectively, but then they're able to violently snatch and separate from blockers to get involved in tackles as well.
Second down and 8. Empty backfield. Dawkins steps up. Dawkins goes down. Sacked, a loss of 1. Joe Mathis, along with Damian Turpin, bring down Dawkins.
JoJo Mathis has really been bringing it from the second half and into overtime. He's been waiting for this opportunity. This is his chance to be the main pass rusher now in his senior year.
Third down. Good protection. Now Dawkins on the move. Dawkins looking. And he throws it away. And it's 4th down and one last chance for Arizona.
All the chess pieces fit together properly on that snap for Washington. Coverage was sound. Elijah Qualls just waited and baited the quarterback to the field side in a spy sort of technique.
And Arizona will call timeout because Rich Rod wants to talk things over before this critical 4th down play.
They have such faith in Elijah Qualls that he can carry out so many assignments. We're going to watch. He's not tired in this situation. That's not why he's not pass rushing. They know that bringing that pass rusher from the boundary side will likely force the quarterback to move because of what he sees in his periphery. Then pursuit takes over between Qualls and Mathis, forcing the errant throw because coverage was so tight.
4th and 10, Arizona at the 11-yard line. What are we looking for here for the Wildcats?
The disadvantage that Arizona has offensively right now is that they're on the right hash. Brandon Dawkins is more effective when they roll him and if they sprint him on purpose heading towards his right. Then that's a more comfortable angle for a quarterback to be able to throw on the run. I believe they still need to move him. They still need to work towards the wide side of the field. It'll just be a more difficult angle for him to work from.
If you're Washington, how do you put pressure on him and how do you force him into something he doesn't want to do?
I would like to see Pete Kwiatkowski do a zone dog. Bring someone up the A-gap. Try to get immediate pressure, putting quick rush on the quarterback, but have the flank covered by the person dropping.
Here we go, 4th down. Empty backfield. Trouble with the snap. Dawkins for the end zone. Broken up, and Washington has survived. And the Huskies outlast Arizona 35-28 in overtime. The Huskies remain unbeaten. They are 4-0. Arizona falls to 2-2, and one last look at that 4th down play.
Washington went into a Raider package. Another bad snap. Throws off the rhythm of the play completely. So defensive front, 2 of them didn't even rush in position, knowing that Brandon Dawkins will likely move the pocket. From there, coverage able to take over. Sidney Jones deflects it away.
And Chris Peterson, his reaction. Little relief right there in Coach Pete.
A hard-fought, well-earned victory.
And Lewis Johnson with Chris Peterson.
Well, Coach, you said you thought this would be a 4th quarter game. Did you think overtime? How tough was this first league win?
It's really hard to win in this league, and it's really hard to win in Arizona. I'm just proud of the guys to keep battling. You know, there's a lot of mistakes we made. We had chances, both sides of the ball. But that's how it goes in this game, and you just got to keep fighting, and I'm proud of him for doing that.
How about the leadership of Jake Browning, your quarterback throughout this game?
Yeah, he's pretty steady. You know, Made a lot of good plays. We're proud of him.
Yeah, and in the end, defensive stops that slowed that quarterback who was really unbelievable tonight.
He's good. He's hard to contain, and he made plays with his arm too. And at the end, proud of our defense for answering.
All right, Coach, congrats. Thanks.
Thank you.
Roxy?
All right, Lewis, great stuff with Chris Peterson. As number 9 Washington remains unbeaten. They win on the road, and it was a struggle tonight. Arizona gave them all they could handle. What was the difference for the Huskies?
The Dogs needed this. They needed this level of test, and as we talked to Chris Peterson throughout the week, he knew they would be tested to this manner. That's what Lewis Johnson was just talking to him about. What made the difference in the game was the combination of execution and tenacity. Washington, when the game neared cold crush depth, they were able to dig down deep and get it done.
And the Wildcats, an injury-riddled roster, a lot to be proud of with their effort, forcing overtime against number 9 Washington. Again, our final, it was number 9 Washington 35, Arizona 28 in overtime. That'll do it from Tucson. For Anthony Herron and Lewis Johnson, I'm Roxy Bernstein. For those of you watching on Pac-12 Network, we send you to San Francisco for the final score, presented by Microsoft.